Hey everyone, welcome back to the Hellspring Podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Works, or springsims, and today we are sitting down with someone that I've gotten to know in the past couple of years, my good friend, Smirky, who literally embodies the phrase gaming for good. He's been a content creator for over 13 years, he's a Twitch ambassador, a heart of the Toontown community, and a philanthropic powerhouse who has raised over $150,000 for various of charities. He's done a lot of speaking engagements on and off the camera, at gaming events like TwitchCon, Gamescom, DreamHacks, PAX, MomoCon, Summer Games Fest, and most recently CES, and so many more. But in today's episode, we're going to be talking more about the reason why Smirky fundraises for charity, who he is as a content creator, where did he get his start, and overall, what does he see himself doing for the future. So, my friends, I hope you all enjoy today's episode with Smirky. Welcome in, Smirky. Thank you so much for coming onto my podcast for season 2 of Hello Spring. I am very excited to chat with you about your creator journey, Toontown, all the nostalgia stuff, your heart for fundraising and giving and St. Jude, and just everything about your life, essentially. And yeah, how are you?
Yay, thank you for having me. I'm doing pretty good today. I'm really looking forward to opening the vault and blessing your podcast with some good nostalgia and just some like good vibes. This is gonna be really awesome. I'm super stoked.
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting for sure. You have so much knowledge about when it comes to like fundraising, and you love Toontown, you love video games, and you've been in the creator space for a very long time. And so I've always wanted to chat with you. I've seen you in different passings at St. Jude events and TwitchCon. So, and you seem like a very genuine, kind person to like chat with all the time when I see you.
Aw, thanks.
Yeah.
I mean I really enjoy getting to talk about all sorts of stuff. So this will be really nice.
Yeah. So to kind of start things off, can you tell people about who you are and what you do as a content creator, Smirky, and what you do?
What do I do? Well, yeah, I've been streaming pretty much since 2012, which feels like ancient times at this point. Quite literally because the landscape with content creation has just been innovated on so many times now. It is a very different like world for creators now than it was when I got started. And the origin story is that I was playing this game called Toontown. It was a Disney MMORPG at the time. And I basically was making just like silly little YouTube videos and stuff, like when I started out. And I specifically remember getting my channel partnered after a while, and then one day clicking onto my channel, and there was this little banner at the top of the channel that pretty much said, hey, so we have like Google Plus now, and we're trying out this feature, because they had basically their equivalent of Zoom called Google Hangouts, and they
Oh,
were
yeah, that's right.
yeah, so they were doing this thing called like Hangouts on Air, and it was like their live version of Hangouts that could be broadcasted to like your YouTube channel. So I basically was like, that sounds super interesting. Let me just like see what happens. I click a few times, and suddenly I have like a crowd of people around me in the game in one of the playgrounds. And I had people like in my chat, like a ton of people like saying hi. And it was like my first ever stream. I had no idea what I was unlocking and like what I was getting myself into. But suddenly I was talking to all these people and like just like super giddy about the real time interaction with all these players that basically were around the world. And that was a super cool like moment for me, where I was like, you know what, I want to like keep doing this. Obviously not every stream at the time involved like a crowd around me in those early days, but it was definitely just me like loving like falling in love with the streaming side of it, in addition to like the videos that I was making on YouTube. Um like I had my Twitch account created at the time as well, but I was mainly just like a viewer, a lurker, maybe a chatter, and just getting enveloped in streaming culture. So it was really like a cool time for me to like dip my toes into the water with like streaming in particular.
Mhm.
And like it pretty much just eventually started like snowballing from there as I kept like making content over this silly little game that I grew up playing with my sister like years ago. Toontown is one of those games that you pretty much like grow up with. Early 2000s. Like, I mean, you kind of know that with The Sims and just like
Well,
how the
yeah,
community
definitely.
building
Yeah.
is. Yeah, so pretty much the same in a sense was there for like the Toontown side of things. Things got really interesting when Disney decided that they were going to shut down their online games in 2013. So they were shutting down a few different projects. They were shutting down Pirates of the Caribbean and Pixie Hollows. Club Penguin would end up actually outliving those games, and they would try a few different things with the IP before they eventually sunset Club Penguin as well. And then Toontown was also caught in the mix, and that was a really like sad moment, which may or may not have involved some of my own tears being put on the internet and going viral because of how much I love this game. Um, there's obviously a little bit of more like backstory to that, but like the basically the community is still around today after all these years because of folks that pretty much said, "We don't actually want to see this game die. It really means a lot to us, so we're gonna like make our own private server." And there's a whole conversation we can get into about like the impact of private servers, but
Definitely.
I'll at least just preface that, a lot of the private server efforts like that I've seen in the past like decade, I would attribute to the Toontown community because like when Toontown Rewritten got started, they had no idea what they were getting themselves into, but they've kind of into this like flagship example and project of like a group of people that are just so passionate about like the game that they have zero interest in like profiting off of it, doing microtransactions, any of that stuff that we tend to see in a lot of like mobile games and just different live service games in general. Like they go against the formula, and that's
Mm.
why we see a lot of like creators and influencers and stuff like actually like playing the game. I literally have so much I could yap about. It's kind of wild.
No, I love it because I'm just sitting here like thinking like, yeah, I totally understand. I totally agree how you feel because I remember like in 2013 because I grew up playing Toontown as a kid and I grew up playing Pixie Hollow
Yeah.
and like Club Penguin, and when they got shut down because this was like my junior year. Well, no, well 2013 s- end and start of my junior and senior year of high school, and I mean, I loved Toontown. I think I had a CD-ROM or something for it, and I
Yes.
I was always on there playing, doing all the things, going to different houses, and Disney, to me, like, it has, like, this magic to it that makes you feel alive and excited and joyful that you just wanna keep going and keep playing, and with, like, multiplayer servers and when it's all online
Mhm.
in real time, you build like that connection, that bond with people that you don't even know, which is a scary thing because in the early 2000s, of course, there were multiple online type games like Club Penguin and Habbo Hotel and Toontown and like Sims Online. We didn't know who they were, but we had this general interest in something similar that built that bond over time. And so when they have all this like fan base and it gets shut down, the fan base says, "We want this back. Let's just do it ourselves." And I think it's all about we genuinely enjoy what we played and we want to bring it back to life for the people who still enjoy it or at least remember it. And I just think that I really love that your continued support and continued love of Toontown has really made me love Toontown again. Like, you're bringing, like, my childhood back, and I always tell people
Yay.
that you are literally the king of Toontown, you know everything about Toontown more than I do, and I'm like, "If you want Toontown, if you want nostalgia, if you want good vibes, go to Smirky." he is the one for you. Watch all of his streams, watch all of his content, and it's just like, yeah, like I feel like with gaming, with the game industry and since the early 2000s, there's been so many great games, some bad games here and there, games with microtransactions, but I feel like, do you ever remember a moment like you realized that gaming would be more than a hobby for you when you started making this your career as a content creator, or at least the person I was talking to previously, uh, game changers, essentially. We are literally changing the game.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, gosh, like, part of it involves me like going through the memory banks of like 2013, 2014, which was such a long time ago now.
I
But
know.
which is also crazy to say, but that's besides the point. Um because while I was also like building up this like YouTube channel and then basically building my Twitch channel from the ground up starting in I guess like 2015, I, was also like going through like school like any other kid, growing up, middle school, high school, and then eventually going for my bachelor's. I definitely, treated it like at first as like a hobbyist because like school was always at the forefront for me.
Mhm.
Full-time student first, and that was kind of like um the perspective I've had for a long time up until I got my bachelor's and was like, okay, now what? But I guess like a moment that I guess like realized that like this was a little bit more of like what I wanted to do. There are probably several different defining moments that kind of like led to me wanting to eventually I guess, like, commit to it more because I never actually, like, started thinking more seriously about it while I was in school. Like, I knew it was something I wanted to, like, dedicate a good amount of time to, but like and views came in and like things were going pretty well. But I would say like, it wasn't until like I got my bachelor's that I really sat down and I was like, okay, let's see. There's this thing called a pandemic that's kind of happening right now. And
Yeah.
I have been doing this for a long time, but now I'm not really sure what to do because I basically just decided I'm gonna take like a bit of a mental break from like the grind and
Mhm.
just focus on like streaming rather than like filing job applications and like uh anything that like you would traditionally be told by like family and peers to like go do because
Yeah.
I
I
was very much like a student leader like in positions and like setting myself up for success, and then I pretty much like turned around like exhausted from like the college experience during COVID, that I was like I'm just gonna like honestly just hunker down and focus on streaming for a while and see where it goes.
yeah, like, so what was your bachelor's in, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, I got like well, I kind of was like an average high school student turned into like a overachiever during my undergrad. I did not need to do as much as I
Uh,
did. But
oh, so you did, like, Running Start? Is that
no.
what's it called? No, okay.
Um oh no. I guess what I was saying was like I was very much like a normal high school student where like I didn't do like AP classes or anything.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was pretty much like at the 50% mark of like my class. Although I did go to like a really big like school where everyone was like overachieving and trying to be like an Ivy League kid. But
Same.
yeah, but I was not one of those kids. But when I got to college, like something clicked, I guess, and I started like really focusing on like what it was I was doing. The weird lore is that like when I was the weird personal lore is that I was like a choir kid in high school. So I
Same.
actually started my college journey by going in for like vocal performance for a semester real quick there. And
Are we the
I
same person?
maybe, I don't know. I mean, hey. But yeah, I loved to like I still love to like sing every now and then. My voice is not nearly as developed though because after a semester I was going to voice lessons and stuff and I quickly realized that like I still like genuinely love music. Choir has always been influential for me, and like I'd really have to sacrifice streaming and like gaming and stuff if I really want to like pursue this as my degree at one of the best like music schools basically in the world. Like I was,
Mhm.
admitted to some really good music school programs and um like the potential was there, but I also knew that like the side of like content creation and broadcasting was something I also really genuinely cared about. I love like performing, I also love like yapping and like broadcasting. So I decided to get my bachelor's instead in communication studies. So not necessarily like journalism or like broadcast media, but like the study of like human communication, like rhetoric and stuff like that. Um
Okay.
so I cuz I didn't really know what to do when I was like I guess a music major and then quickly realizing that like I didn't want to sacrifice an arm and a leg for music.
Mhm.
So I changed that to like my minor. I changed to a communication major. From the point that I changed my major to graduating, I still ended up doing it in 3 years, even though I didn't do like AP or anything in high school because I was always doing like either summer classes or like winter, like 3 week
Mhm.
classes or stuff like that. Like I was always doing something. I was always in some leadership position. I worked for like my school's housing department, so I had like the free like room and board to help offset some of the costs and like some of the loans that I was taking out. Um, and then I ended up like even just like deciding to jump into my school's like honors program as like a continuing student. So I did all the things that I guess like I don't know, maybe I could have done when I was like going through the admissions process and like trying to get into honors everything and trying to get more scholarship money. But I don't know. Like I said, things didn't really click for me until like I was already admitted to college and I was like, okay, let's kind of like readjust course here. Um, and I learned how to be like a really adaptable person, not only when it came to things like the content I was working on, but also just like life, especially due to events like COVID. Like we had like round one with COVID and then round two with like a really bad ice storm that swept through the state that
Mhm.
made global headlines of like, like the roads are slick and people are like freezing because the power's out and everything. Um,
Yeah.
so like that was like college was a really weird time for me and for all the other people that were also in like the classroom. But content creation was something that actually really kept me going forward during those times because when like it seemed like a lot was happening in the world at that time, I knew that I could still turn on my PC, turn on my microphone, and press go live. And that was a big motivator for me to keep going live because I would be, able to connect with people from all over the globe, even if I was just like alone in like my dorm room or whatever. Like where I was on campus because I I don't know I just really it really helped to have like that connection through streaming and content creation
Yeah.
which also leads into a lot of the work that I have become known for a lot of the charity efforts I've done because I was able to lean into that a lot more during that time.
Exactly. And the honestly, the thing that you mentioned, like you showed up, you continued to show up every
Hmm.
single day to do things that you love. And that's what I love about you so much is because you do so much and you do so much good for so many people, whether it's for, your community members or your family or anyone that is around you in your circle, you're always showing up. And with, like, your fundraising efforts, like, where did that all begin with you? Because you have been fundraising for multiple charities for so many years, and
Yeah.
one charity specifically that you love so much that I see a lot is St. Jude, because you have a very personal connection to that.
Yeah, I'll first rewind, I guess, pre-COVID, and I'll start with, well, actually, so I didn't really start leaning into charity fundraising until 2018, but I did my first ever like attempt at like a charity stream that did go really well, for charity water to help like bring clean water to countries that are in need, because the water crisis is something that like is still prevalent very much like to
Yes.
this day around the world. And I really was like amazed at the work that they were doing, and I decided to just like do a little campaign. Now, I was not like, well versed in charity streaming at the time. I did one of those like typical, like you create your page and you get a link and you share it around. There was no like on stream overlay or alerts, or there was none of that. They didn't have like a streamer toolkit in 2014, right?
No.
No, the resources that we have now as charity streamers are so wonderful these days. But I still like hopped on a YouTube live stream, because this was before I started streaming on Twitch, and at least consistently. And I'm pretty sure what it was is that I did like a 24-hour stream, because like I guess I had time to kill. I don't remember like what month it was, if I was on break or whatever. But I remember raising like over $1,600 on that first campaign. And then also like Charity Water was like impressed by what we were doing. They reached out and they were like, "Oh, if you do these things, we'll have like this brand come in and also add $1,000." And that just like opened my eyes to like,
Wow.
I was like, holy cow, like I'm like not even like, you know, I'm not even like a fully fledged adult at this point, but my mind is blown. Like I was like, holy smokes, this is actually getting some traction. Like, this campaign is raising a lot of money for something that's a really cool cause. And I'll always remember that like that cause ended up like showcasing the impact of our work too, which was really meaningful, because it showed a list of all these different campaigns that were contributors to this well that got built near this primary school in Rwanda, and they had like photos and documents for it. And I was like, "Oh my goodness, like charity fundraising can be impactful." And that was a big takeaway. Now, as to why I never did another charity fundraiser until 2018, I guess I was just like busy with school as any other kid. I don't really have
Mhm.
like a reason, but 2018 came around, and that's when I guess St. Jude started entering the picture for me. I started becoming very involved with the Twitch community, I guess between like 2015 and like, in the years leading up to that year. I would be like very involved. I started like religiously watching Twitch Weekly on the main Twitch channel with DJ Wheat and Anna Prosser. And I
Yes.
remember tuning in to the broadcast one day and seeing them doing the broadcast from the St. Jude Summit, and seeing all these purple hoodies in the audience of all these creators. And these are all people I did not really know, because I mean, let's be real, how many folks are like actively streaming Toontown? Like the bubble is very much like over there in
It's a
the
little
corner,
small, but it's
yeah,
large.
it's tight knit, we'll say.
Yeah.
And so these were a lot of people I didn't know, but we were bringing people up on, or they were bringing people up on the stage, and uh saying what St. Jude meant to them. And I thought that was so cool. And I wanted to give it a shot the next like Play Live season, which I guess is now called the challenge season for St. Jude Play Live. And
Mhm.
that's really where it all like, I guess, started. In the first year that we fundraised for St. Jude, we ended up raising $1,400, which again is a
That's
mind-blowing number
huge.
for like my first campaign. And that ended up getting me an invitation to go to the St. Jude Summit in 2019. So, like while I was in college and everything, I was like, I basically moved everything, or like did assignments early or whatever I had to do to make sure that I could go to like Memphis. St. Jude does an amazing job at like providing like travel and stuff for summit attendees. So that was also like a really big deal for me, because I don't think I'd ever been flown out for like anything before
It is
that
kinda
point.
spooky
It
when,
is,
like, a big
right?
company or brand's like, "Wait, you wanna do what now? You wanna fly me somewhere for free?" Like, okay, sure." But it's also, like, something that you really genuinely love, so it's kind of,
Yeah,
like, worth it.
And I mean, they do it because it's like, and they do it all the time, not just for the summit. They do so many
Right.
events, but they do it, and it's an important part of their mission to bring people to, um, places like their HQ, like their campus in Memphis, and it was an eye-opening experience. I still remember sitting on the bus, like dealing with a lot of imposter syndrome, like little old me, Toontown streamer. Like I don't know who am I going to meet, who am I going to know. But that summit was a very transformative experience for me. Definitely met some wonderful people that are still like around today, and I ended up like being so excited about what St. Jude's mission was and what they do. So we
Mhm.
turned around in 2019 and we raised over $10,000 that year. And then I think even in 2020, like because COVID happened and the summit got canceled, which was really sad, but because I wanted to go back to summit after going the first time. Like once you go the first time, they got you. You're hooked.
Right, it's like,
Like
"We wanna
you
go
want to go
again."
back. Yeah, but I had to wait quite a few years to be able to go back. But so yeah, we raised like double that money in 2020, which I don't know. It's just like very mind blowing. And I don't know. Like I also felt a small sense of pressure to be able to like keep up. We've raised incredible amounts of money every year that we fundraised, and ultimately it doesn't matter like if I don't raise more money one year compared to another year. A lot of charity streamers tend to like put more pressure on themselves, I think, than uh, is necessarily needed because
Mhm.
as great as it is to like step up the goal and like reach that goal, I mean lately a lot of my charity campaigns have been like, you know, maybe not necessarily like either hitting goals or hitting better goals, but I I think with getting involved with St. Jude, it's put so much into perspective as to how like every dollar really is mattering, and it's not a competition. It's not like yeah, there are leaderboards, but they're for fun, right? Like
Exactly,
it's
yeah.
we're all on the same team at the end of the day. So
Mhm.
and that was like a big takeaway as well from Summit. I felt so proud to be like in that room in 2019, and I was able to definitely ball up the imposter syndrome and like throw it out the window, leave it at the door, and just really immerse myself in that experience. And being able to be so much more integrated into what St. Jude does has been like a real blessing. Um, I haven't even talked about like that personal connection that you mentioned, and I am happy to talk about that in a moment.
Yeah, I feel like it was like St. Jude. I love St. Jude so much. I started fundraising for them in, like, 2019, and I didn't know about the Play
Yeah.
Life Summit or anything, and I only raised, like, $200, but that's still, like, $200 they did not have before, and that's 2 red wagons, which is so huge,
Yes.
and I'm like, what I love about, like, just fundraising in general, I did it way before I even did online stuff. I think it's the excitement that you get to see that change being made for the dollars you've raised, whether it was $1 or $2 or even $10,000 or even $1,000,000. It all goes to something great. And I think with St. Jude and Charity Water and Hope for Haiti and so many other charities that do so many amazing things, when we see that tangible change being made, boots on the ground in real time, it's like it opens your eyes to, like, we want to do more, and with the summit for St. Jude, every year that we go, it's so eye-opening. We hear the stories from the doctors, the researchers, staff members who work at St. Jude or LSAC, or talking to other creators who fundraise for St. Jude or just have a very personal connection to St. Jude. Sometimes there is in previous years, there have been patients have come and spoken, people who
Yeah.
have, were treated at St. Jude and then eventually came back when they were an adult. It is just truly amazing, and just, of course, seeing all the commercials. I think everyone knows what St. Jude is, what they do when they see the commercials, and I think one thing that resonates with me the most is, like, the missions. Danny Thomas always said, "No kid should die at the dawn of life," which is so true.
Yeah.
kids are so wonderful. People say it all the time, kids are the future, and which it really is. And kids learn and grow and try new things every single day. And if we as creators, change makers, can use our platform for good to raise awareness for St. Jude's mission and help them get through their treatment to have a exciting, fulfilling, long life, then we're going to keep doing it. And
Yeah.
you've raised over so much money for St. Jude and other charities, over $150,000 and more, which is incredible. And
Yeah, I'll
I
I'll give
applaud you
some.
for that.
Thank you. I'll give quick clarity to you that as of this session that we're having right now, so the lifetime total that I've raised across all charities combined is over 150,000,
Right.
which is still crazy and mind blowing. At like, given that I am like super young and like at this point in my life, and that's something that I can say is absolutely mind blowing. Like some of my coverage with like or some of my like charity work has been like covered by like news outlets and stuff. Like I was interviewed for like my local NBC station, and I had like a mention in a Associated Press article about like St. Jude. Like it even carried over to like press, and that was like really stunning for me as well. Um, and like then suddenly you're getting shout outs by like the president of your university and like his like magazine and stuff, and that's like, whoa, okay, that's kind of wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like it when it comes to St. Jude in particular, as of this recording, we are just a few $1,000s away from the 100K mark, specifically just for St. Jude. So a lot of the money that I've raised for charity has honestly been in support of this cause in particular. And like I mentioned, like the support was always there. Like since I first started, it really was through the Twitch community that I found the Play Live initiative that I really started leaning into, and I'm so glad I did because it honestly has been like life altering. I wouldn't be like my perspective would not be what it is if that had never happened. Like it's really broadened my worldview so much and made me appreciate the moments that I have because people come and go all the time, right? Like there are
Right.
people that were in that room in 2019 with us that are moving on in whatever capacity because life happens, right? Of course. And I certainly you know am so honored that I get to go back to the summit every year, especially because you mentioned that they tend to they've brought in like patients and stuff to share their stories. I remember that in 2023, I think it was like one of the first summits back, if I remember. It was either the first or second summit
I
back.
think it was 2023,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, because I think they also had us like split up into groups that year because they weren't really sure how to like bring back the summit post like
Yeah.
quote unquote post pandemic, whatever you want to call it, for the sake of like, getting events back up and running again. Because the deal is that in like a year like 2023, conventions had already started coming back. But you have to remember that like this is a hospital environment where like, it's a big campus where you may see patients that are very much like with their parents wearing masks, like going to treatments or going to appointments or things like that. Like still a very real, like, space with real things happening. Um,
Yeah.
but we were fortunate enough to have a very special patient that year come in with both of the groups. And that patient actually was a cousin of mine, who has quite a story with St. Jude. And that's where the personal connection comes in for that cause, which, is kind of, I guess, part of the reason why so much of what we have raised is like specifically for St. Jude. We had already raised a lot of money for the kids of St. Jude, just in general, before I ended up getting word that she got cancer. So the connection is that like her name is Faith, and she has like stage 2 Ewing sarcoma, and she which is like a rare form of bone cancer, I believe. And
Mhm.
she like her mom is like my mom's sister, so like my aunt. So like basically I was at Summit and sitting up there on the chair on the stage or whatever is like my aunt and my cousin, and it's a very surreal thing to like have them talk about their St. Jude journey that they've been going on the past few years in front of all these like amazing creators and industry leaders, many of whom I admire and respect. And it was a super surreal moment to like see them there. They sat in the audience when Twitch was doing their broadcast, and they had invited me up on stage to like, surprise me with a very kind donation. And uh, just to have them in the audience, like they really saw the value of what I was like doing as a creator, and they could not thank me enough, which really put a lot of like meaning and purpose into what I do. But enough about me. Like basically, like her story was super impactful, and she kind of just has become like this integrated part of like the St. Jude Play Live family. And I always get like fellow both summit attendees and like creators and fundraisers in general, like always checking in and asking how she's doing. And anytime I go see like, for example, my mom over the holidays, like there might be a morning where we're having coffee or hot chocolate, and she's like FaceTiming my aunt, and we're like getting updates on how she's doing. There's like a massive Facebook group that friends and family get updated on how she's doing as well. So I always, sometimes I'll either get updates from that or from like FaceTime or anything, because the reason she was able to go to the summit was because she had gotten through cancer. But we're still getting updates today because she has cancer again and is going through round two as of like this recording. And it's been like a long journey full of many ups and downs and surgeries and all kinds of things going on. So her story continues to um, be like at the forefront of like, you know, I don't know, just like I don't know. She has a great smile. She's been able to do so many cool things because of St. Jude, and at the same time, she definitely goes through a lot. So when she's not like on camera, in the background of like a show or being in a photo op with a celebrity or anything, as like St. Jude tends to like bring their patients into, she also is like going through a lot with like, the tumors that she has and like the surgeries and the pain.
Right.
Oh my gosh, she is a warrior. I think at the summit in 2023, she brought this massive jar of like Jolly Ranchers. It was like
I
a tall
remember that.
vertical cylinder jar, but it was filled to the brim, and every single Jolly Rancher, um, her mom mentioned that those Jolly Ranchers represented like a shot in her abdomen that she administered to her. Um, and that was during her first round of
Ugh.
cancer. So I don't know exactly how full or not full that jar may or may not be for her second round that she has been going through. It is and the thing is that this is just one of many St. Jude patient stories, right? Like the
Right.
work that,
Right.
yeah, that's why I lean so much into the work that they do, just because, like, I mean, every single day is a chance to find a cure, to, make meaningful research happen, and to help save kids around the world, because St. Jude's mission is global. It's not just limited to the state of Tennessee or the USA. It's very much like, like my cousin's case can be used to maybe save another kid that might be going through something similar years from now, or months or weeks from now. So it's pretty incredible to know like her impact as well. I mean, it trickles down from the donors and fundraisers to the scientists, the doctors, the researchers, which is why I tout so much about them and why they're such a
Mhm.
great example of like a charity in this space that is doing meaningful work. And there are so many causes, like you mentioned, that are putting in that impact, because like impact is everything for me when it comes to charity fundraising, and impact does not always equate to raising the highest grossing amount. It just, if I can know that like $10 is gonna like bring a smile to a kid's face, then that's all that I need to know really, because that
Yeah,
is what matters at the end of the day. And if I just
it
raise those
truly
$10, that makes such a difference.
it truly does, and I think, like, I think you can agree with me, like, that's what keeps us going for a whole month or a whole
Yeah.
year to keep fundraising. Even when time gets tough, we still do our due diligence of, like, taking care of ourselves, but then we also remember what we're doing it for and who for, and it's definitely just I would say it's electrifying to just keep going and having fun and celebrating and talking about it because you never really know who's watching your stream or your content, and little do you know
Yeah.
they could have shared your stream or your campaign link to somebody that is, I don't know, who has, like, a gajillion dollars or something, but it's like using your platform for good to spread awareness for things that you believe in is like all we really need. And if you can inspire one person to do good in their community or in their state, then we did a good thing. You did a good thing and you're continuing to do that, which I'm so proud that you're doing so much because you recently just did a campaign like not too long ago in December. And I'm like, wait, how I don't know how you keep up, but
Yeah.
I'm always applauding him, like, every time I see you're doing a charity fundraiser, and I'm like, "Smirky is doing the good work," and I'm here for that, and it
Thank
keeps me
you.
inspired to keep going, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm proud because you did Project Hope in 2025 of
Yeah.
December."
Yeah, I've been
So,
fundraising for them the past few, I guess, Decembers, because they do amazing work all over the world, and they're very highly trusted. And you can look through tools like Charity Navigator to see the stewardship of their funds, and they have like one of the highest ratings, and they're amazing. They've responded to all kinds of like natural disasters and like conflicts around the world, and they really do bring that sense of hope every holiday season for me because like given how like tumultuous like the news cycles are these days, it just reminds me that there is so much good in this world that is being done around all corners of the world that
exactly.
sadly don't always get that time in the spotlight or get a lot of attention, but that good it is still being done against all odds, and it deserves to be recognized through amazing fundraisers like that, which I think is ultimately what drives me to do these fundraisers, even if lately a lot of my fundraisers have been like, okay, on this fundraiser we've raised $100, on this one we've raised maybe 250, or which to me might not translate the same to maybe someone that is just getting started and they think that number is like huge and amazing, and it is, and it absolutely is.
Yes.
I think that there's a lot, because that ties back into the pressure aspect that I mentioned, especially as established charity fundraisers, where like it's so hard to give ourselves like pats on the back sometimes. I still struggle after all these years sometimes to hit go live, because
Yeah,
it's just
same.
it's just tough. It's tough out here, but that doesn't mean it's not important, because it is important. And um that's part of the reason I'm excited to, lean a little more into my role with the creator clubs as one of the charity club advisors, because we're kickstarting that club. And
Yes, I'm so
because I
excited.
because I really want people to know that like the work that you're doing just by charity fundraising alone, by just spreading awareness, like even just spreading awareness, if you're not like actually raising too many dollars, like that also is so impactful. And I know we say it so many times to the point where it's almost like regurgitated, and it
Yeah.
feels like automatic sometimes to like try to get that point across. But if you really sit with that what you're doing is like so impactful for the causes you care about. I mean, it really just like changes your perspective on what it is you're doing. And I just want people to know that like no matter how much you're raising, whether it's individually or even part of a team, like um, you know, obviously there's a sense of expectations that can come along with the fundraiser, but at the end of the day, like it's not about whether or not you meet that analytical expectation. It's about putting that time and effort into something good. And charity fundraising has been a great outlet for me to do something good with our platform, especially with such a tight knit community like Toontown. I never could have imagined it when I first got started all those years ago. And now it's just like, we're covering our bases with all these causes. I don't need to be doing all this work, but it's so important to me to be able to do it, even if I'm just raising a few dollars on one campaign versus the next, because um, like this is time that I think is well spent to be able to do good. And, maybe I should start doing some good soon and plan for my next like few charity campaigns later this year. I'm kind of sitting here being like, man, like it feels good to talk about good and to do good. And I should probably lean into that a little bit more because I could use it. That's for sure.
Honestly, I'm very excited to see what you do because I know you had just recently put out your next like St. Jude campaign, which is really cool. So I'm excited to see what you do with that and also your Play Life Summit and just like what you're going to be doing throughout the year because there's so many things that you've done in the past couple of years, especially like last year. You've done so much, and it's been, like, really nice and inspiring to see, like, you are continuing to show up, and I think what I love so much about Twitch or just, like, the streaming in general is, like, the community just keeps showing up every day and, like, just cheering you
Every
on
day.
and just
Yeah.
making you so happy, so, like, what has your community, like, taught you about, like, generosity and showing up for others?
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned earlier on about like my travels and stuff, like I would not have started leaning into that more, especially post undergrad. Like if it wasn't for the community that we had built, like um I mean that in the sense of like they've inspired me to also like get out of my comfort zone a little bit. Like in terms of like going from sitting in front of a camera all day to okay, let's maybe see what events are like, like gaming events like PAX, or let's go to a TwitchCon and let's meet up. And then it even started turning into the past like few years, like okay, let's see what's going on over in Europe, and let's hop on over and like just expanding it. Like content creation has also been like expanding my own horizons in the process of like us building the community as well. And I like could not like say that I would be like the same person I am today if it wasn't for the people that have come along the way, whether it's someone that maybe is just tuning in for even the first time or somebody that really has been around uh since the beginning. I still like get people at events. There's even like a real world like Toontown like gathering that tends to happen every year. Even though they did just cancel it this year so they can focus on like their current projects because it's all like volunteer run at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But like there has been this annual event called Toonfest in the Toontown community, and I've gone to that just on my own volition. I'm not like sponsored. I don't get flown out to Toonfest. I just go like any other fan because I love this game. And I, get to like meet people that literally every year they're like, I have been watching you for like over a decade, and like the work that you do is super cool and meaningful. And I just like there's so much I could yap about with that event, but those comments like mean a lot to me because it's so easy to feel like lonely, isolated as a creator in your room, doing your own thing, even with those usernames popping up in chat. So actually getting to like go and like hear that from like real human beings was very impactful. And that was like one of the first events that I traveled to when I was like in high school, and I pretty much haven't looked back since. Um, Being able to meet people and to, I mean, networking just came naturally to me as well in this space because I wouldn't get to know so many amazing people like yourself if it wasn't for like all these like trips and events and like collaborations on stream and things like that. And these are like genuine connections too, no matter like how different of directions like we all end up going. Like, I mean, I kind of came in my own little bubble, like I mentioned earlier, but
Yeah.
like I was still able to intermingle with all these other gamers, artists, musicians, because like at the end of the day, we're all just like humans, and we all like are creators, and we're all doing amazing things. And it's great to be able to celebrate that every now and then at different events. I don't need to be going to all these different events as much as I have been these past few years. Not all of them are paid by someone. Like, more often than not, I'm like going just out of my own volition every single time I make the decision to book flights or find a place to stay because I just really care about showing up, I guess. Like, will it pay off? I mean, I don't know if the numbers will show that it will pay off, but I think the time spent is what like really matters to me. um, because you never know what tomorrow will bring. Tomorrow is never like guaranteed, and I'm really someone that like I feel like I've transitioned from not only being like a futuristic person, or sorry, I've transitioned from being solely futuristic to also really focusing on like the present moments, like what's in front of me, because I think that is like what really matters. Being able to spend that time with people that are really amazing and people that I care about. That is why, like, I guess I keep showing up to so many of these events, and I end up uh, even getting opportunities to like speak and stuff like that. Um, and it's just, I don't know, it's just I feel like time that is really well spent and meaningful to me. And who knows, maybe that could turn into future like career paths. But yeah,
You never know.
you,
You
you
never
really never
know.
know. I mean, content creation is just like, in my eyes, like it's my main occupation. I call it. Like, I don't call myself a full time creator because I'm very like flexible. I'm a free spirit. I could get roped back into corporate capitalism industry, or I could, maybe find something else that suits me a little more. I don't know. Whatever I got to do, I got to do. But it's
Yeah, exactly.
lots of fun, and I just, I always feel like I'm kind of like, personifying that like Toontown character, that tune a little bit. That like Who Framed Roger Rabbit vibe, just like trying to have fun through all of it.
Yeah, I feel like it's like when like there was no term for like what we do like maybe like 20 years ago. You're like, You do
Yeah.
what now?" Like, "You're what?" Like, "Okay." But it was like never really treated as like serious for a very long time, and sometimes it still isn't today. And I think with society and like the overall environment of just content creation, whether you do it, live streaming or, pre-recorded content or short form, or you make blog posts, like anyone, when you really think about it, everyone's a content creator in their own rightful field. Like a doctor is a content creator because they're doing something. I
you
mean, a
should
teacher is a content creator.
I mean, yeah,
Literally anyone.
you should see some of these like teachers, doctors that have like established communities and channels and
Oh, I've
like,
seen some, and they're
oh
they're
man,
great. Some of them are very funny. I'm like,
yeah.
really? That happens? I watch a
Mhm.
lot of TikTok of, like, teachers who talk about their day, or they do little fun, little random stuff with sometimes with their students, like a random little dance, or
Yeah.
they, sometimes even go on their own platforms and talk about the struggles of being a teacher or being a doctor or whatever it might be, because it definitely humanizes them a little bit more to understand, like, what they're really going through, because not everyone knows, and a lot of positions in the world are being very severely unpaid, and
Yeah.
they don't get a lot of recognition and praise that they deserve. Like, everyone deserves goodness in their life. Everyone deserves to have someone to cheer them on, to saying, I'm in your corner. I will help you in any way that I can. And I think when you are able to have those people in your corner, it just makes you wanna keep going more. And with you traveling and speaking, which leads me into, like, my next question, that you last year, had talked at, CES, actually, and I was listening
Yeah.
to that whole panel. That's the word, panel. Um, um about everything because I felt like I learned so much from that because it was talking about, like, the generational shift and the evolution of gaming because gaming has been a thing for I feel like since the dawn of time, really, and I think it's evolved so much over the years, especially in, like, the past maybe 15, 16 years now, especially with
Mhm.
platforms like YouTube and Twitch and all these other different platforms that you're able to make content on, especially, like, Instagram, I feel has definitely evolved over time with short form content and now TikTok. Like, when you were on that stage, like, speaking, like, what does that shift look like to you from, like, your perspective with how the evolution of gaming is, like, the new social space?
Yeah, we did talk about that a lot on the session, and it's kind of funny how like I'll preface that like with a lot of panels that I've been so fortunate enough to speak on at events like PAX, TwitchCon. Even recently, we did the Power of Charity streaming together at TwitchCon San
Mhm.
Diego.
That was really
That was
fun.
awesome. But like this panel, it's so funny because I mean, we had like one prep call and then like we pretty much went on stage, and that prep call was like, I don't know, like a month out from like the session, and the like description on the like session itself was like very like uh small and broad and not really specific. But yeah, the session was all about like how like yeah, gaming essentially is like a social space. Like it it is something that like it has been getting reshaped and developed by like Gen Z and Gen Alpha in particular. Um and it's something that it was super insightful. And I was pretty much like the Gen Z or whatever that you want to call it, that like was on the session to give my 2 cents on like yeah, like how gaming is being like shaped by a lot of folks that are like creatives that are of those generations, the perspectives that we bring to the space. And it's it was honestly so surreal to be on a stage like that, which because CES is like the world's largest tech event. It also just happened this year, because it happens like every January right after New Year's. It's like one of the first big events, and it's also like one of the biggest events of the entire year that am so grateful to get to go to. So when I got invited to be a speaker, I was like, "What?" I was
It's like,
like,
"Oh,
"Wait."
okay."
I was like, "Oh my gosh, okay, this is wild." And it was a really good talk too, because like gaming is just one, like it is like one of many like sides of tech. And there's a lot of innovations that come in via the medium of gaming. So being able to kind of like share insights as a content creator and as a charity fundraiser on that session was really cool because it helped open the door to conversations as to how like um you know with like things like content creation, we really are like cultivating these social spaces. I mean, we see massive communities formed on platforms such as Twitch that are essentially like changing the game and changing the gaming experience. So whenever you end up like streaming Sims, like Sims, I think is more like, especially when it got started, it's more of like a single player kind of experience, right? I mean, like
Yeah, it's
you're
very
yeah,
single player.
yeah, so, like but by creating this space on, like, Twitch or YouTube or whatever, TikTok, whatever platforms you're on, like, you're essentially transforming this, like, single player experience into this, like, I guess, like, hub for viewers to tune in, and you're like it's not only your experience, but it's a shared experience, and people really lean into those shared experiences that they can have with others. Like shared experiences are super powerful, and it's why we lean into them as we're growing up, whether that's through like the college experience of student orgs, or the lifelong experience of like going to work every day and having coworkers, or even streaming and turning a video into something that can be enjoyed collectively as like a, I don't know, YouTube premiere. Like being able to take something like gaming and transform it into something that is shared and enjoyed by multiple people is super powerful. And you don't have to have like the craziest highest amount of numbers in order to have those shared experiences be super impactful. I mean, when I started in 2012, like with the exception of the very first stream that somehow caught a lot of attention, I don't know how.
Hey, you never
You know,
know.
you never know.
Toontown, your
Toontown,
personality.
that's right. But I basically was streaming to no one, but they still were like shared experiences. And it, like obviously Toontown is a multiplayer game, but the same logic applies. Like sometimes you're off venturing around doing your own thing, but you can have somebody tune in that gets it. And it's really cool and exciting in those moments. So I guess that's kind of a little bit of what we talked about on that CES panel, and it ended up being like a really cool like conversation. And it was also surreal because like a lot of the times when I panel, I'm with like fellow creators and industry leaders. But getting to panel with some folks that are like so well versed into their fields, whether that's esports or whether that's like really big job at brands like Microsoft or Deloitte Consulting, like I was like, holy smokes, like this is a whole another level. Like they were awesome. And they also like are like CES veterans. Essentially they tend to go like Jonathan Streamfield tends to go every year, for example. He was one of the other panelists. But like then it was just like little old me just like smiling and waving and being cute on that stage. Like it was probably one of the coolest like panels I've ever really done. And I'm so like grateful I got to do it, because it allowed me to share what we've created with
Right.
a world that might not be as familiar with what we've created, because tech is so broad, it covers so many different avenues. But being able to highlight gaming in that sense, that it is becoming the new social hub. It is a medium that people are literally forming lifelong friendships through, and then you translate that into going to conventions and meeting up with people and hanging out. I mean, then suddenly you see the gaming themed proposals on the internet and you shed a tear. Like, I mean, it really was like super cool and insightful stuff, and to be on that stage, in particular, was super awesome. So yeah, I mean, I didn't think I would be doing that in my mid 20s, but here we are. So
Hey, honestly, neither did I. But I'm like, gaming brings people together. It's I always say it's more than just a game. It's more than just,
yeah,
doing this or that. It's revolutionary. It makes
it
us
is.
form bonds, relationships, and it just also kind of allows us to try out new skills. Like a lot of people, I feel like the first game I ever played that I would really put on my little Mount Rushmore list is Sim City. I think that was like my
Yeah.
very first game that I personally knew kind of know what I was doing. I learned about financial planning, budgeting, how to do an actual city planner, what goes where. Like I was learning real life tangible skills in a video game. And it honestly allows us to just grow as people.
Oh
I
my gosh.
feel we can take it to the real world.
Yeah, when I tell you that, like, literally, I learned how to type super fast at a young age because of Toontown. Like, when I tell you
See?
those keys are clicking and clacking, like no tomorrow. Like, I mean, my reading comprehension, like, oh my gosh, the way that like that game just like elevated my like skill set as a human being, like and that's just one example, right? But like
Yeah.
the yeah, I mean games are teaching genuinely like a lot of life lessons, and like there's so much good that games can like provide. Even you get like the mainstream negative connotations, but I beg to introduce these games that are like literally helping shape the way that we view our world, whether it's through the stories that the games tell or the skills that we learn from it. So, um, I guess that's also why I've always been like passionate about games. And maybe I don't have as strong of a feeling about like working in games, given how the industry is kind of fluctuating right now. But I certainly, despite like how things are rocky and like layoffs are happening and everything and continue to happen, I never want to lose sight of like how these games have been so transformative in not only my life, but the lives of other people around us. It's just like any other art form, like music, how it was so transformative during my educational journey. Games was also a really big part of that, and I just wanted to lean a little bit more into it, so I chose to go down this route. And now I have been able to like lean into it more, pretty much take on volunteer like roles with platforms like Twitch to be able to share my own insights. And I'm not the most like uh analytical heavy person, but I've become a bit more data driven because of content creation, because we love data points. So
Don't we
yeah,
all?
don't we all? Yeah, for sure.
Feel like also with gaming culture and just learning, like
Hmm.
we all learn from each other, whether we play
Yes.
The Sims or Toontown or Club Penguin or pretty much any game in general. I think it just people need to definitely take away like the serious side of like gaming and just generally just have fun with what you're doing. Even if you
Yeah.
make content around it, I think it's definitely important to, like, if you make content, find a game that you would never stream or you wanna stream, but just play it by yourself. I've been doing this recently
Hmm.
where I'm playing games that I can fall back in love with gaming again, and but I also
Yeah.
wanna play games that I can learn something, so that's why I play a lot of story choice adventure games or strategy games to help my brain think and do different things where I can go this way or go the other way or buy this house or demolish this house, and I
Yeah.
think that's just, like, one of my favorite things about video games, and I think game developers are so interesting to me because they have a genuine passion, a genuine love for what they do, and it started as, like, a genuine hobby probably when they were kids to eventually evolving into working with different companies or starting their own company or their own studio to make indie games, and I think indie developers are so I would say, to me I mean, of course, other big companies are passionate in different ways, but, I
Yeah.
think indie developers definitely have so much heart because sometimes they don't really have a lot of funding or they, don't really have all the resources and tools, but they're doing stuff with what they have, and I can see it, and there's been so many games like the game Unpacking, I love that game so much.
Oh
It
yeah,
is
I've heard of
so
that one.
great. I recommend it to anyone, honestly. Even though there's not even a sequel, it has a great beginning and it has a great end. But each time that you play a different level, you learn something new about that person's life, that everything is through their boxes. And
Hmm.
I think when you have gaming and you're streaming and making content, you can use all that gaming for good. And I don't know if you ever heard of this one website, but as a kid, I always went on this website. I think it was, like, one of our learning lessons or whatever, but it was
Uh-huh.
called freerice.com. Have you heard of that? Yeah,
Freerice.com.
freerice.com. It's a part of this whole initiative for with the World Food Program, and so
Oh yeah, I do
yeah,
remember this. I
I love that
definitely
website.
frequented that website when I was younger. I do remember. Yeah.
It is my favorite website of all time. 1, because
Yes.
it's free, and 2, is, like, every correct answer equals 10 grains of rice, and I'm like, "Yes." That's like, you're
Oh my
learning
gosh,
and
I
you're helping
remember
all at the
this.
same time for
Yeah.
free, and it just no, I feel like everyone should learn about the website personally.
Gaming.
Exactly, like, you're learning about math, English, you're gaming, and you're helping people all at the same time in the comfort of your own home or somewhere, and this kind of leads me to, like, my next question is, like, what are some, like, games that you would say, like, it would be on, like, your Mount Rushmore, as they so call it, that kind of identified or like shaped you as like a gamer? If you have
Man,
like the
well,
floor.
I guess I'll answer it as today because I don't have the podcast episode I did with one of my close friends from like a few months ago where we also answered this question where we gave
Ooh.
our own Mount Rushmore. But you know what? I'm giving today's version of my Mount Rushmore of gaming.
Okay,
um
okay.
yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Like, I mean, there totally are potentially going to be some of my like own biases in my answer, and that's the beauty of it because like with gaming, like there's so many different players that like everyone has their own like perspective on something like this, and you never know if like something you say is going to be like super controversial because like there's a lot of like different perspectives and like there are games and franchises that people really do care about, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, so this is like all time Mount Rushmore essentially. Like,
Yeah.
uh, yeah. Okay, let's see. Let's see. I think one of the faces would probably be Sora from the Kingdom Hearts franchise. He's been like
Okay,
a really
okay.
instrumental character just for me. um, Mario would probably also be one of the characters. I'm definitely that guy that will always pick Mario as a character, and I get all the eye rolls from my friends being like, "Why are you Mario? Why do you have to just be generic Mario?" And I'm like, "Bro,
Mario's
he's
iconic.
literally the icon, the legend. He has how many video games named after him and no one
Like,
else? Like,
hello?
yeah,
A
like
movie.
a
Like,
movie."
hello.
And about to be
Like,
another movie that I'm really looking
exactly.
forward to. Um, yeah, okay, and then so that's half of my Mount Rushmore. I guess, yeah, I guess I'll for me, I'll also throw Sonic up there, because his games were some of the first games that I also like played as a kid growing up with my sister. We would play like some of the Sonic games together and we really got into those. um and then I don't know who would the last character be. Mount Rushmore, I will go on a limb. I will say, yeah, I don't know. I really lean into like the cartoony characters a lot. I guess these are all technically cartoony characters because I guess I can just throw
Yeah.
Pikachu up there just for the sake of like the Pokemon franchise because the way that franchise impacted me in my life is also like pretty pretty huge.
Yes.
Like the memories that I have even from just like when my sister and I were just young and just like playing with plushies or whatever. Like, I mean, it goes back for me. So yeah, it's probably not like the best Mount Rushmore that I could come up with in like the moment. I don't know. Like there are so many influential characters, I guess is what I'm saying. And like I'm thinking of a lot of cartoony characters, which I guess is on brand for the Toontown streamer, but yeah, we'll just go with it. So
Okay, yeah, yeah, I like that answer. No, those are iconic characters. Nothing wrong
yeah.
with that at all. I feel like, honestly, I don't know if you ever played Yu-Gi-Oh, but that was, like, my thing.
So
I played
like
all day.
I don't think I have much experience playing Yu-Gi-Oh. I definitely watched a lot of the anime though. So like, I also like I think for me and my sister though, we ended up getting roped in a lot more to some of the I feel like underappreciated franchises. Like my sister was really into Bakugan growing up.
My
Um
gosh, yes.
yeah, and like they also had an anime that we would watch religiously. So like that I think that ended up being our Yu-Gi-Oh in a way. Um and then of course like I still see like the Beyblades at conventions. Like
Yes.
I literally saw uh like two younger brothers like, ripping Beyblades at like PAX Unplugged. And I was like, "Oh my
My
gosh,
god.
like this is the best thing ever." Like to see like kids like still playing with Beyblades, like it made me happy. But yeah, like bringing up franchises like Bakugan is so fun for me because I enjoy unlocking people's memory vaults. That's kind of like my whole thing. um,
My
e-
gosh.
Even if I do like start incorporating more like I guess quote unquote mainstream games into like my repertoire this year because I really want to start like going through even a little bit of the backlog and start like covering some games that maybe are a bit more on the modern side. I think that I always do end up leaning towards that nostalgia, towards that, early 2000s. It's like, it's not like tied and true, like retro, like 1990s, 80s, whatever. Like, it's just like that middleman where it's like,
Yeah.
like that sweet spot that was essentially my childhood. And I that is always going to be something that I lean into, even if you catch me like starting up my playthrough of Clair Obscur anytime soon. Or I finally just had a Switch 2 that got crowdfunded, and it's on its way as we're sitting here recording this, and I'm really excited to
Oh,
get into the next era of Switch games. So catch me
yes.
finally getting into my love of Pokemon again, and finally getting a copy of ZA soon. I'm just like, I'm so excited to be a little Nintendo fanboy again. I'm really looking forward to it.
I'm
Yes.
excited. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Well, honestly, to wrap things off, we can do some rapid fire questions or like just some
Ooh.
simple questions here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What is one goal you would like to set for yourself for 2026?
You know, I know it's a rapid fire, but it's interesting because I, didn't really go into this year with any resolutions or anything. Like, everyone is like, yeah, I got a New Year's resolution and, get fit, whatever. But I don't know. I'm kind of just like, I've just kind of been existing lately, to the point where it's like I don't like want to set too high of expectations for myself right now. Um I I really want to just like focus on, I guess, like bettering myself as a person as well as a creator. There's a lot where in my head I tell myself that I am like lazy, that I, am not as consistent as I could be. And there are things that I could improve upon, but I don't want that to translate to, me thinking that I'm bad creator. So I think the main goal for me is to just be more kind to myself, just as I am to the people around me. Because how am I going to be able to have people believe in me if I don't believe in myself first? So I think that's something
Mhm.
that at the end of the day, it's easier said than done. So I want to work on, making that a process that I can actually carry out. Um, so yeah, that was, the rest of these can be rapid fire, I promise. But that
Yes.
was that was the
No, this is
long-winded
good.
answer.
Hey, honestly, sometimes I sometimes don't know what a rapid fire is more anymore. I just keep talking. It
We're
works, but
yappers, we're
hey,
creators. Sorry,
exactly. Certified yappers. It's in our degree. It's in our title.
it's in my
What do you
DNA.
expect from us?
Yeah, exactly.
Another one is if you could play one game for the rest of your life, like if all games were just gone forever and you only had one game that you could only play, what would it be?
My goodness.
I know, so hard.
Yeah. Um, I feel like the answer I'm going to get to is interesting, because it's the way that I instantly reacted was by wanting to put myself in the shoes of maybe a character and think about the journey that they would go on. And I might just like shout out something like, if all games were gone, if I was in the shoes of a protagonist, because I feel like I always pick the protagonists in games. I don't know, what journey would I want to go on. I feel like there's a lot to be said about like a journey from a franchise like Persona, and the storytelling that comes with it, and the trials and tribulations that come with it. Um, so I don't know. I guess I could see myself as like running around like a Joker or something, and
Okay.
like, I don't know. Like, it's totally like a 180 from Toontown, but like I don't want to say Toontown because it's too obvious,
I was gonna like, wait, Toontown? No, no, I like the
No.
Switch.
Yeah, because like, I don't know, like I get a lot of slack from friends that are like, you only play like Toontown and like you're like nothing else. Like, do you actually play any other games? And part of it is like, well, I stuck to a lot of like the same games and similar titles for so long, the cartooniness that like I which I still do, of course, but like I
Mm-hmm.
also really want to work on like broadening my horizons and maybe playing some games that, as someone that started out more family friendly, I'd probably be a little more hesitant to play then. But like nowadays, I'm kind of like, well, you know what? Maybe it's not so bad to like fire up this game and, you know, check it out. Or I think I like
Yeah.
played Black Ops 7 with a friend one time recently and, on stream. And I'm like, I think it's okay for me to like try out some of these like games that I would have been way more apprehensive back then to like play. But I feel like, I'm at a point where I can just explore new horizons and try out new adventures and fall in love with all kinds of different characters. And I think that's something I want to focus on more. But yeah, I
Okay.
would like to, put myself in more shoes of all kinds of different characters. Like even like Resident Evil Requiem is really exciting to me. And I hate
Ooh,
horror
I've never
games.
played that one. Oh, I love horror games. I just don't play them on stream.
Yeah, horror
Not good
games
at
are
that.
definitely going to be like, future charity incentive that like I would not my anxiety would never let me play that normally like, but I don't know, maybe it'll make good content. We'll see.
Hey, you never know. And the last and final question that I have for you, what is one piece of advice you can give to someone who wants to get started in fundraising or just content creation?
Yeah, I mean, like, let's see, because I mean, I never realized when I got started that like my journey would end up being what it is. I never like, you know, I ended up like dreaming and wanting certain things that, I never realized would be in the realm of possibility. Um, for example, becoming a Twitch ambassador was like one of the, I guess, like top pinnacle moments for me just because like it really was a personification of all the hard work I'd done over the years, to be able to make an impact that is felt like unequivocally. And I never realized that that would be uh, in the realm of like what was possible for me, and like the power that I have to create is super meaningful to people. So don't underestimate your power to create amazing content or incredible fundraisers. And don't worry about like how your numbers are going to be performing. Yes, we're data driven as creators, but it shouldn't be everything. Because if you're not enjoying the journey, then like, you know that really is half the battle. Any numbers that come along the way, those are just
Yeah.
like a byproduct of the hard work and dedication that you're putting into your craft. So the results will show for themselves if you are focused on, the community building and the story you're trying to tell, whether it's your elevator pitch or it's your branding. Like just know that it's all like, like part of the picture, and it's all ever changing as well. Like I mean, my priorities and my ideals are, not fixed over 13 plus years of content creation. Like things can change and flow, and change can be scary, but it's also welcomed. And yeah, I just want people to know that like the journey, it can be a little bumpy sometimes. It definitely is for me, but that doesn't mean it's not beautiful as well. Like with music, for example, I think some of the most beautiful moments that happen in music is when there's dissonance in some of the notes that come out, whether it's like of voices or instruments. Those are some of the most beautiful moments on sheets of music, right? So to that point, like even if things are a little weird at first, if you have no idea what you're doing, lean into different resources, discords, talks, people, because you'd be surprised how supportive everybody really truly can be as genuine people, not just showing face, but like people that genuinely want to uplift and help each other. I'm not, being performative when I am being positive, because I make sure that I'm intentional with my actions. And I want to make sure that, like people know that I'm not trying to like be positive for the sake of getting a collaboration with a really
Right.
well-known creator, or like, like it all can come naturally. I really just want people to focus on what story they're trying to tell at the end of the day. And soon you'll also be yapping to the extreme like I am and giving five different answers in one. So
No, same, 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 same. Yeah. I feel like honestly, like whenever I started streaming, I never am on one topic at a time. I'm
yeah.
always everywhere, but I love yapping. I love talking. I love being able to chat with different creators. And like you said, like we're not trying to be performative or anything. Like we genuinely enjoy what we do, and we want to make people's day, whether it's for an hour or 2 hours or how long that we're streaming for or making content for. And when we're talking to other creators, we don't see a gigantic number on their forehead saying, I have 1 million followers. Like, no, they're a genuine person who just makes content. And we can definitely be very data driven for sure. And I think for me, what has helped is to always just see the person first, not the number,
Yeah.
because everyone has comes from a different background. Everyone makes content differently, and they just love what they do, and we all did it for free, and
Yeah.
sometimes we still do it for free.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes, for
it's just
sure.
like, just have fun. Just have fun with what you're doing. I mean, I really turn off literally every single number when I stream because I
Yeah.
just don't wanna see that and have that be the main focus, and just talking to my chat and playing the game or whatever I'm doing that day is the one thing or the 2 things I will hyperfixate on the most rather than the numbers.
Yeah, I certainly want to get a little bit better at that, because I'll always glance, even if I like have it turned off, to see just like sate my own curiosity. But like even then, like it ultimately is not like what matters, because what matters is the interactions and the engagement that I'm having with the people, in this case in real time. So
Yeah,
uh like that's what's important to me. So I'm not perfect, but it certainly is something that I want to uh, strengthen and work on more. I mean, like going to events and going to Summit, for example, is like how I, have really taken that to heart, where I've started to meet people where they're at and understand that like we're all on the same playing field. Like being able to rub elbows with high profile creators every now and then has been pretty surreal, but at the same time, they are also human beings just like us. And that's something
yeah.
that I have worked on recognizing ever since like my first summit, because I bumped into Lupo, like Dr. Lupo at the first summit, and understanding that, like, for example, how he is really just like a human like the rest of us, that like interaction completely like shifted a lot for me as well, just being able to like recognize the humanity in all of it, which is so easy to lose sight of sometimes, especially
It can
given
be.
social media and news cycles. And I often question if I'm losing sight of it sometimes these days, but to hell with it. We're going to make sure that we recognize one another and uplift one another. And yeah, I just really want us to remember that we're not just a bunch of pixels and ones and zeros. And oh my gosh, like the streamers actually do have legs, guys. Like we really
Right, and we
do.
have legs. We
We have
have legs.
legs.
We're just not a floating
Yeah.
we're not a floating torso. That's so true. Very, very true, and I think to quote Hannah Montana herself, who is now it is 20 years of Hannah Montana, "Nobody's perfect. I gotta work it again and again until I get it right." That's some period.
Man, she was onto something back then. And
Really,
we
truly.
and we just didn't fully see it or appreciate it. Like, let that
We
sit with
really
y'all.
didn't. I'm like, "Let this sink in." Like, I mean, Hannah Montana, High School Musical, the we say it, the early 2000s was really on to
It
something,
really was. I'm
and
about to go to the Pride Guild and be like, "Hey guys, can we like do a Hannah Montana movie night, like
yes,
something like that?" Oh my god.
yes, please, right now. Well, to end things off, can you tell us where the people can find you on the internet?
Of course, and thank you so much for having me, by the way. This was really
Yeah, thank
wonderful.
you so much for
Um
accepting.
Yeah, of course. If anybody would like to check out our little tight knit bubble on the World Wide Web, you can find my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Smirky, SMIRKY. If you try to find me on other platforms like YouTube, it may require a small underscore or something like that because I'm not the only bright mind that looked at the name Smirky and thought it was catchy. But we make do, you know. You can find me on the YouTubes, the Instagrams. I have the TikToks and even the Snapchats. Like they made me a little Snap
My.
star on Snapchat. I was kind of shocked by it, but that was like a testament to like, the work I had built up on other platforms. So yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much everywhere if you look up Smirky. In terms of when I'm live, it's at this moment, I pretty much just like sit down every Sunday and I'm like planning out my week from there. So I'm not like ultra consistent to the point where, it's like I'm live every Sunday, Tuesday, and Friday at like 3 p.m. Pacific. I'm like, no, I'm just going to go week by week, especially with how much I travel. So, hey, you may also see
Hmm.
me at a convention like PAX or a TwitchCon or something. You never know. I'm around. I'm around.
Yeah. You never know. You'll always see the smirkster somewhere
The
on the
smirksters are
internet.
lurking on the internet and at your
They're always
conventions.
watching.
Always watching.
Well, with all that being said, thank you again for being on my podcast. And to everyone that's listening, check the show notes below. I will link everything for you to see Smirky on the internet, or you may see him in person. You never really know. Well, my friends, that was the end of today's episode with Smirky. It was truly one of the most enlightening conversations I've had in a while. And I just really enjoy talking with content creators from different backgrounds, whether they do gaming, whether they do different things on and off the camera, whether they're actors or singers or dancers or whatever they do as a profession. I just really enjoy chatting with people. And honestly, I kind of forgot my love of Toontown, and Smirky has reminded me how much Toontown has evolved over the years, and especially a lot of like retro games like Club Penguin and Have a Hotel and like Toontown and Toontown Rewritten. And watching Smirky's content is truly the highlight of my day. He literally, like I said, embodies the phrase gaming for good. He shows up, he puts his best self forward on camera, off camera. He's truly what you see on stream is how he is in person, a kind, genuine, honest human. But either way, as always, I do hope you all enjoyed today's episode as much as I did with Smirky. Definitely consider following Smirky on every social media platform that you have. And with that to say, I hope to see you all and hear from you all next time in the next episode. Bye!